Hello, and welcome to number 2 in my ongoing series, Byzantine Places. I'm Sean, that history guy. I teach history courses online. And in this installment, we're going to go in search of a very famous location in Byzantine history. It comes at the very end of Byzantine history, and that is a place called the Kerkoporta. So we're going to go to Istanbul in Turkey, and this is not going to be the last time in this series that we visit the Walls of Constantinople, which still largely exist in various states of repair and disrepair. We're looking for something that no longer exists. The Kerkoporta, which was called in Byzantine times the Circus Gate, that's what the word Kerkoporta means, was possibly in this area, but we're not sure. As you can see, the walls still do exist, and they were built originally in the 4th century CE for defense of Constantinople. They stood for over 1,000 years and were never breached except for one time. And it was not in the Fourth Crusade, actually. The Crusaders in 1204 came over the sea walls. They did not break the land walls. That was not, in fact, done until the final Ottoman siege in 1453. The legend and contemporary history written down roughly at the time, a historian called Dukas wrote this down. During the Ottoman siege, which lasted 55 days, this small gate called the Kerkoporta was left ajar early on the morning of May 29th, 1453. And the gate being accidentally left open, the Turks, the Ottomans, who were then delivering the final push in their siege of the city under Sultan Mehmet II, who was the commander, the Turks rushed in through the gate and then raised a banner, the Turkish banner, above one of the towers. This caused the defenders to lose hope and to realize that Constantinople was falling. So that's the story. No one is really sure where the gate is. It was a very small postern, not one of the large ostentatious military gates like you see better preserved in various parts of the wall. I'm not even really sure that it is here. I had kind of an unreliable tip that it might be in this area, which is near, I don't know which one Tower 96 is. It might be this. There's a tower down here that's a little bit more well preserved, but I don't know if it is Tower 96. But I've heard, as you can see, look how much better preserved this portion of the wall is than what we just saw, which was like a block away. So you see how, just look here at the difference in the preservation of the different parts of the wall. So it might be here. This is actually near what's called Blackernai Palace, which was one of the last palace of the Byzantine emperors, and has been preserved. Or the Kerkoporta could also have been further south. It could have been somewhere around towers 30 and 31, and I don't know exactly where those are, except they are further south. This is actually fairly far north in Istanbul. But you can see it's interesting here how the walls have been integrated into this modern neighborhood. We saw trash bins parked up against the wall in just a moment ago, and people driving on their daily routines just go past these ancient walls all the time. So there's also a theory that the Kerkoporta did not exist, that in fact it was, Dukas was confusing it with another gate, possibly the second military gate, and we don't know whether that's true or not. It was supposedly called the Circus Gate because a circus used to perform outside that gate, outside the walls, centuries before. We're talking centuries before the final siege. So that would have been in the earlier Middle Ages. No archaeological evidence exists to prove that the Kerkoporta was in this area or that it existed at all. I know some excavations were done here in this part of the wall in the 1860s and did not find any archaeological evidence of a small gate that had both an inner and outer opening. That could have been the Kerkoporta. But, however, as you can see, the walls have been, it very greatly differs as to what remains and how in what condition it remains. So the fact that there is no archaeological evidence does not necessarily mean that the Kerkoporta did not exist. It may be just that the evidence has been lost over the centuries. You can see in this part of the wall there's a lot of damage, a lot of destruction to this portion, and this may be from the cannons employed by the Ottomans during the final siege. And those cannons were largely responsible for breaching the walls in the final siege in 1453. So that's our search for the Kerkoporta. My website is thathistoryguide.com. I teach history courses online. Please do subscribe to this channel. There's going to be lots more in this series and in other series I do. And you can also give me some love on Patreon, patreon.com/SeanMunger. So thanks very much for watching.